Hi guys, it's Brenda Wood again, and I'm here with another episode of Things by Bren. Today we are with Kelly Martin, and she is a loved one that's serving time. He's been in for about 4 years, and he has numerous health issues, and they have just been fighting to even get him to a doctor. They even transferred facilities to have tests done, just to receive a letter from somebody else stating that this did not happen. And they put him back into a facility where he's getting absolutely no health care. So Kelly, tell us a little bit about yourself and your situation and what's going on with your loved one that's incarcerated.
So obviously my name's Kelly. We have 3 daughters. My fiance is in Ellsworth right now, so it's been really hard. I know that for the last 4 years, me and my girls have been dealing with this just mess. Roller coaster of emotions. And then just recently, we have been through all this medical issue stuff, like you said. And just recently, they just put it off, like they're literally covering it up. So
they want to because they don't want to pay for it.
Yeah. So
he's got
it's been
congestive heart failure or some type of heart condition.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, how this all initially started was he got to the prison. He had been there since 2018 in Ellsworth, and he got a lump in his chest. So when he got the lump in his chest, he went to medical because it was bothering him. And a lump in your chest is not normal. No. So we wanted to make sure that he was okay. And he was having like some heart palpitations, and he was having like shortness of breath, being tired all the time, those types of things. But he thought it had to do with the lump in his chest. We didn't think anything about his heart. So he went to medical, and as the nurse is doing the sonogram on his chest to figure out what the lump is, she literally stops the test and tells him that somebody needs to look at it because there's something very wrong. Wow. So at that point, it was very scary. So what they did was they sent him to the hospital there in Ellsworth, and they echo done, and they figured out that he does have an irregular heartbeat and is having some issues. So at that point, they said they didn't have the medical care there that he needed. So they couldn't technically diagnose him. They knew he had a heart issue, but they didn't want to diagnose him there. So he was actually sent to Lansing.
So they transferred him from Ellsworth to Lansing. And yes. Did they transfer his stuff with him, or did he have to go just with his person only, or did they pack him out and ship him? Did he have physical, tangible stuff like his books and his shoes and that type of stuff when he went to Lansing?
Yes, they packed all of his stuff out. When he went to Lansing, they were planning on him being there long term for his medical care, because they said that there they have the KU hospital system that can take care of him and make sure he gets the medical care that he needs. And you have to understand, at this point, even getting to them sending him to Lansing to get diagnosed, we literally went through so many phone calls and talking to people and emails, and it was just insanity. It took forever just to get them to send him to Lansing for the medical care that he needed.
That's very so
finally, yeah. So finally we get to Lansing. They send him to the cardiologist there. And it took like 3 months after him getting to Lansing to even get an appointment. Finally, they get him to the cardiologist. This was in May of 2019. Now, mind you, this all started in 2018, a year before that. So it took us a whole year.
Crazy?
Yeah.
What if things progressively got worse and he still was not getting treatment because he didn't know what to be treated for?
Right, exactly. So when he got to the cardiologist, finally, they diagnosed him with heart failure. See, at first I didn't believe the diagnosis because he's only 36 years old. He was actually 34 at the time of his diagnosis. So, I mean, it
Yeah.
just was unbelievable for us. So I'm like, maybe we need to double check this. And they all told me, like, I talked to multiple medical staff at the Lansing prison. I talked to the medical staff at the doctor's office. Like, they didn't give me much information, but they
Yeah, they're
did
not supposed to.
confirm that it was heart failure, that was the diagnosis. It was heart failure. And of course they said it was mild, so it was the start, because you have mild, moderate, and then severe.
Okay.
And heart failure is a very progressive disease. So once you get it, if you're not taking care of yourself and you're not, paying attention to the sodium intake, to your fluid
Right,
intake,
your diet is
all
very important,
yeah. So
which you
if
can't
you're
really
not
control while you're incarcerated.
right, so if you're not taking care of yourself, it progresses very fast. And they told us that. They told us that it's a progressive disease, which what they did to treat him at that point was they put him on a blood pressure medication, which still doesn't make sense for a heart failure treatment. But, we thought it's something, maybe it will help, maybe it will at least slow the progression
Mm-hmm.
until he can get home and get medical care. So once they did that, he was allergic to the medication. Immediately, he started having numbness in his face.
Oh, wow. That's
And
that's very serious.
yeah, and numbness in the top of his feet. So he told them that he couldn't take that medication. At that point, they did not give him another medication. He has been trying to see a doctor since then. They told us that with that appointment from the cardiologist, the actual heart doctor who knows obviously about the heart, said he needs to be checked every 6 months to make sure that it's not progressing too fast, to make sure that he's, staying stable. Because heart failure, I mean, that's
serious.
yeah, I mean, that's what keeps your body going. So, and they told him that his output, his cardiac output, was only 40 to 45%. A normal is 50 and above. So he was already, I mean, pretty low on his output. Going below 30, I mean, that can be very dangerous. At this point, we don't know where he's at. They have not given him an appointment since. So
And they've moved him back to Ellsworth from Lansing. He's had no
yes,
medical appointment at all, and
no,
he's scheduled to get out in approximately a year.
yeah, he gets out in January of next year.
Sounds like
So,
they are trying to not incur any bills and just wait
right.
it out. Mm-hmm.
Right. And see, we've requested, here's the crazy thing. We've requested appointments. We've been fighting with them again, telling them that they were supposed to check on him, supposed to check him out. He's been having bad symptoms, shortness of breath. He's been having numbness in his face again. He's been having swelling. His face was swollen, huge. The nurse even told him that they saw the swelling. His
Mm-hmm.
feet were swollen. His abdomen was swollen, which is all very serious
And you
issues
can't
with
even
heart
see him
failure.
now because of COVID. So
Right.
you're having to go by what he's telling you, which scares you because you can't even see how bad it is. So or not if it's that bad, but your mind starts saying, "Hey, what's going on?"
Right.
It puts you in a definite scared state.
Yes. And we have, like I said, we've been fighting, trying to get something done because his symptoms, like his heart palpitations, it used to be just every once in a while. Now he's getting it constantly, all the time. And he tells them that, and they won't do anything for him.
Hmm.
So they told him, he went to medical, he went to another appointment. They told him that they were going to do a 48-hour echo on him. And they told him that they were supposed to be doing another screening. So I think it's the sonogram is what they
Maybe.
were supposed. No, it was a is it a, I don't know what it's called. I think it was another sonogram. But they were supposed to be doing both of those things. And they actually had him talk to a cardiologist through a monitor, so he didn't get to go to the doctor.
On the doc in the box, right.
Yeah. Which, like he told them, how can this guy know what's going on with me through a monitor? He can't. So that's not okay to do an appointment like that. And he'd never seen this guy. This guy doesn't know, his health or
That's how the prison
anything.
systems do it, though, because they don't want to assign a guard to go with you to the doctor and then go through those motions. So they do it through a video monitor, and they rely on the nurse there to take the blood pressure and to tell the doctor what the diagnosis that they think it is or what the readings say, and then they prescribe a medicine or not. That's all they do, and it's very, very sad.
Right. So when he saw that cardiologist is the one who ordered those tests. Well, they ordered a blood test too. He went down to get his blood drawn. When the nurse went to do it, she first in his left arm dug the needle in, couldn't get a vein, kept telling him it was rolling, which his veins are huge. So I don't know how you miss it, but then she went in his right arm and did the same thing. Well, when she did it in his right arm, he passed out. He literally passed out right there. And then he said he woke up with like 6 nurses all around him trying to figure out what happened, because he's never passed out from taking blood. Like, that's not something that happens to him. They didn't take his vitals. They didn't do anything. They sent him right back to the pod. Yeah, didn't even make sure he was okay.
And you've also not only been dealing with medical issues, you've been dealing with discrimination based on the way you look and the way he supposedly looks at you during visits. And then you've also had a guard say he wanted to have sex with you if you were a different color. I mean, this is just crazy.
Yes, and he said that to me. I mean, about me, a civilian, not the prisoner. I mean, even saying it to a prisoner is not okay. But
no, it's not. But yes, somebody else coming in.
You would think they would know not to cross those lines, but they didn't. And when we had those issues, because the other officer said that we looked like softcore porn to her, and that was a female officer. She also,
because you guys are not allowed to touch on visits, so there was nothing inappropriate going on for her to say that.
Yeah. We had another officer say something about my boots. She told my fiance my hooker boots I was wearing, which is like, I mean, that in itself, you're referring to my shoes as hooker boots.
Right.
Basically calling me a hooker. And then there was that same officer who said something to him about which this is embarrassing, but I'll say it anyways, about my front butt is what she called it.
Oh my goodness.
She said that my pants, I guess with the white pants I was wearing or whatever, that you could see my front butt through my pants. She said that to my fiance, which isn't true, because they wouldn't have let me in if that was true.
Yeah, they have guidelines. That's correct. They have guidelines.
That wasn't true, but she just wanted to talk to him sexually, and that's not okay.
No, it's not.
So for her to say that about me, about him, I mean, that's just horrible. And then the officer who said something about us looking like softcore porn, he was changing out for work. And this officer stood in the doorway. She's not supposed to be there. She's not watching him. He's changing. And she's standing there literally staring at him the whole time he's changing, watching him. So he reported it. We reported it. They did nothing to her. Nothing.
Now, you did say that they did send the visitation people down to get retrained because of some of the reports that you had filed, but they did not do anything to this particular individual.
Right. Well, none of the officers they did anything to as far as like reprimands. Now, the only reason they sent people down to actually retrain them was because of all the issues and because multiple times they stopped our visits in the middle of our visits for no reason. Like they literally wrote him up because they said they thought I was whispering in his ear or our heads were too close. That's what they said. Our heads weren't touching, but they were just too close. So they stopped our
Sounds
visit
like
and wrote
somebody
him up.
has too much power, or they think they have
Right,
too much power.
right. And then they wouldn't let me see him for like 2 weeks because of that, which they weren't supposed to do because a sergeant is supposed to, or not a sergeant, a captain is supposed to approve the stopping of a visit
Which didn't
or
happen.
nope. Nope, there was no captain approval, no nothing. It was just the people in the, I guess they're in another room or something watching the video monitors. It was just them saying stop the visit. They
Isn't
didn't
that
get
sad?
approval, they didn't do anything. And they did that to us probably 5 or 6 different times.
Sounds like a little bit of discrimination.
Yeah,
More than a
and
little bit, a
then
lot of discrimination.
because he reported that one female officer, what happened was this male officer who was in the minimum in Lansing with him, because he had never had a write-up at all, and he had been in prison now for 2.5 years with no write-ups, no nothing. And this male officer comes in, writes him up because he had a shaker cup and he had washcloths and he had a cut-off shirt that they told him he could wear to work. So it made no sense that they were writing him up for these things. And he said his neighbor had the same things and they didn't write his neighbor up at all. So he asked the guy, why did you write me up for that? Doesn't make sense. Like, those are little petty things. The guy told him he was told to write him up.
Wow. So
And that was
somebody
by that
higher up
female.
gave the authority to do that.
Yeah, that was that female
Mhm.
that he reported for the sexual harassment. Told
So
this
you
other
guys have
officer to do
decided
that.
to just kind of lay it cool, and you're going to wait till he gets out and then see what can be done. I do recommend that you contact the ACLU. You just never know. They are very understaffed and they don't get paid a whole lot. Their budget is basically $0. But if they feel it's worth the fight, they will step in. They absolutely will. And it's free to do that. And you have to make sure you go through the ACLU of Kansas. Each state has
Right,
its own ACLU. Mhm.
right. That's probably what we'll have to do. Now, I do have a personal attorney who is looking into it. Which I mean, he will probably take the case.
Mhm.
But as far as doing anything right now, our attorney has told us it would not be a good idea to do anything right now,
Because there'll be
especially with,
retaliation. Mhm.
yeah, and they've already retaliated multiple times. He was in minimum. When they sent him back to Ellsworth, they put him in medium. They're telling him he can't move to minimum until his next review for no reason. He didn't get any more write-ups. He didn't get anything to bust his custody, but for no reason, he can't move to minimum until his review, which we know what that is. That's
Sounds like somebody's got a grind against him. An active
right,
grind, yes. Mhm.
right.
Absolutely.
And then we
Very
had
unfortunate.
another issue. The reason he got moved from Lansing back to Ellsworth is there was a female unit team who was hitting on him and saying things to him, telling him that I'm crazy, telling him she doesn't know why he's with me, that he shouldn't be with me, telling him to leave me. I mean, just telling him, she told him she thinks I'm an exotic dancer. A unit team told him this. It's like, and she told him that, basically
Even if
trying
you
to put
were,
it in
it
his
doesn't
head.
matter.
Right, but she was just trying to put it in his head that I was doing something that I wasn't supposed to. She was trying to get him to leave me, which to me was just insane.
Well,
And then
if he would have did that in there, then he would have been cut off, because I'm sure you have to put money on his books and you have to take his
yeah.
phone calls, and it's very expensive to do that, and sometimes it takes more than one family to just do that. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure
it does.
you are the majority of it, though.
Yeah, and I'm raising our 3 girls by
Right.
myself. It's just me. So, I mean, I'm trying to take care of our girls and take care of him. I mean, our girls are, my oldest is about to be 16.
Hmm.
She'll be 16 in June. And then our middle one, she's about to be 14. She'll be 14 in July. And then our youngest is about to be 8 in
Oh,
August.
wow.
So June, July, August. So, I mean, it's not easy taking care of teenage girls by myself.
No, it's not.
And with all the expenses too, but with that unit team, I couldn't believe an employee would do that. So multiple times we reported it, we said something about it. I mean, he was going through depression. We haven't seen each other for almost a year. I mean,
Right.
actually now it's been about a year. So,
Did they
I
say
mean,
when they're going to
obviously,
open visits back up again?
no, they're not even hinting to opening visits again. I don't think they have any plans on opening visits again because it's easier on them
Sure
to
it is.
just do the video visits so they don't have
Sure
to
it is,
have
but they're not
officers.
thinking about the mental thoughts that go through an inmate's mind when they are completely cut off. And I
Right.
know they've committed a crime and they got to do their time, but there's still a mental wellness that people need, that they should be able to have, even though they're incarcerated.
Right. We are social creatures.
That's right.
We need that interaction with other beings, and not just other beings in general, people we love and care about. We need that interaction, and we need to be able to see each other for real, face to
Right.
face.
Right.
I mean, seeing each other through a monitor, it's not real. It doesn't feel real. It feels like they're not really there. So it just, and doing that for a year, I mean, especially, it's hard for me and my fiance, but we're adults,
Right.
so we can get through it. But I
Oh,
can't
no, the kids.
imagine what these children who are not seeing their fathers or mothers are going through. Like, they haven't seen their face for a year. I mean, that's, to me, that's abuse.
It is. It
I
is.
mean,
And,
that's
and I
not
know that there's a
okay.
lot of folks that are just scared to death of what's going on with COVID because they are in an enclosed system. And I get that. I do get that. But I think if we can go to the grocery stores and the movies and to the bars, then we can allow people in with masks to visit. And you're not allowed to touch anyway, so you can still keep a 6 foot distance.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Here's my opinion on that. The guards and the COs go in and out
Hmm.
every day. The nurses, all the rest of the staff,
All the
they
employees, that's
go to
correct.
the store,
Hmm.
they go to the gas stations, they're going all over the place, and then
And
back
bringing
in
it
these
right back into
facilities.
them. Do they even wear masks in there? Are they
They
making them?
do.
Hmm.
Yeah, in Ellsworth they do. They make them wear them. He said some of them don't, but most of them do. But the other thing with that is it's already spread through all of these prisons, and that's without families. So why are you keeping families out if it's already going through the
Right.
prison? You're not keeping it out. It's already in there.
Yeah, because
So,
your employees and your staff members have to go home. So they go home
right,
and they go out to the public and they bring it right back in. Hmm.
right. So,
As with any illness, the flu, a cold, any of that, it's done like that. So, well, tell me something that you would want the public to know at the so we can bring this to a close. What is it that you would want to change in the system, and that you think that the public needs to know about incarceration?
so obviously the personal visits need to be reinstated. That is a must. I mean, they need that. And I know I didn't say it before. There was a kid in Ellsworth who actually took his life recently, which is very sad. And it was a friend of my fiance's, and it really upset him and bothers him a lot. But this kid had young kids that he hasn't been able to see, and he came in from RDU, so he's never had a personal visit. He never got a personal visit, and he just wanted to see his kids. And it drove him to that point to where he took his life, and he only had like 18 months left. So he really didn't
Right.
have that long in there. But that's what this
He had
separation
something
does.
going on. Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels final for real. I mean, it just makes everything feel like a game, not like reality.
Mhm.
The other thing I would say is they really need to change the medical care. They need to be giving these people medical care. That's not right. I mean, they are human beings. Just because they go to prison and they're paying their time, so they're paying their debt.
Mhm.
It's not like, they went in there and aren't paying their debt. So they're paying their debt to society. They deserve to be treated like human beings.
Absolutely.
They don't
Absolutely.
deserve that. And then when they report issues, they shouldn't have to fear retaliation of not being able to go to minimum or get the benefits that they deserve just because they're reporting something wrong. That's not okay.
No, it's not okay. That's right.
The biggest thing for us,
They're doing that because they know the staff members know that they were wrong.
right? And the biggest thing for us is, just like I told you, 3 days ago, they sent us a letter. And this was Libby, I forget her last name. She's the new person that represents the prisoners in Topeka. And so she actually sent a letter saying that he's always been normal, nothing was ever wrong with him, that they now suggest that he has stress management. They're going to send him to stress management.
Wow.
So they're basically saying he's never had heart failure. They're literally covering this up. Like, how do you do that? And here's the thing, heart failure is a very serious. And if it's gotten to a moderate or severe stage, there's no reversing it.
That's right.
So he may only have 5 to 10 years left with his family because they wouldn't treat him, because they wouldn't give him proper medical care. That's not okay. He went in there on a very small charge and was only supposed to serve 5 years of his life, not have 20, 30, 40 years of his life taken because they
Good
don't
way
want
of
to
putting it.
treat him properly. I mean, that's not okay.
No, it's not okay. Well,
And
thank you,
now,
Kelly. Thank you for being with us. And don't hang up because I've got something for you. But if anybody would like to get in touch with you, she is on Facebook. If you want to talk to her about medical, you can contact me. You can go to Things by Bren, which is my website, or my Facebook or LinkedIn. Anything under Brenda Ringwood is where you can find me. She is also on Facebook. Just contact me and I can get you in touch with her. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it. And thank you guys
thank
for
you.
watching.